I'm excited this month to welcome Coach Jeremy Jones, the past teacher and boys and girls basketball coach, and Allie Stone, 7th grader from Morton Middle School, as our education guest. Guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I've learned a lot about you guys just in meeting and what you sent in, but we're going to start with you, Allie, because we got a great quote from Coach Jones here, and you've already heard it, right?
Yes, sir.
It's really good, by the way.
Thank you.
Allie represents our 2 sets of 3. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. I think I've heard those before. No whining, no complaining, no making excuses. Her integrity is above reproach, and it starts with her honesty towards herself and others. Man, that's a great quote, and it says a lot about you. Who helped you become such an honorable and honest young lady?
My family, especially. They helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And Coach Jones.
Did he tell you to say that?
No,
He
sir.
did? Okay, you did? That's good. Let me ask you this then. Why do you value honesty in your life?
Because I think honesty builds relationships, and it helps not break them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so.
I love that, because we're going to get into that a little bit more as we go along. But I know you play, but Coach coaches, and you play basketball. And other than family relationships, probably one of the strongest relationships I've ever had are team relationships.
Team bonds.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And if you find someone that's not honest, you start to have trouble, don't you? Even if you can't see it up front, you start to have trouble. Let me ask you about this. When was there a time when honesty may have cost you something in your life?
Well, when I was younger, I fought with my brother, and I lied to my mom about it, and I got in trouble.
Uh-huh.
And then I didn't get to play my basketball game that night.
Yeah. So mom was wise. She knew what would really get to you, right?
Yes, so I did not lie again.
You didn't do it again.
No.
I was going to say, did you learn your lesson?
I did, yes, sir.
Yeah, mom knew that. So now you've mentioned your mom. You have a brother that's older.
I do, yes, sir.
Okay, and he plays a little ball too.
He does.
Okay, and you have your mom has one on the way, right?
A girl.
A little girl. Are you excited?
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
excited.
Wow.
I can't wait.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this then. What did that moment or situation or relationship, when that happened with your brother, you got in some trouble, because what was the most difficult part about that, and what did you learn from it?
To be honest, saying sorry.
You got to be honest, because that's our show.
Yeah. Yes. But was to say sorry, because I knew I did it wrong. I did something wrong, and it was hard to say I did it wrong and say sorry.
Yeah, now we're talking about something called pride, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you got in a fight with your brother. You thought, I can avoid something here, can I?
Mm-hmm.
I can just switch the truth out a little bit, maybe twist it a little bit.
Get away with it.
Get away with it. And when you didn't, not only did you get punished, but maybe the harder thing, you missed a game. That was really tough. But you just said the harder thing was going back to your brother and probably your mom as well. Say, I'm sorry. Wow, it's a great lesson, though.
Yes, sir.
That's a great lesson. Now, so it's easier to be honest up front. Still cost you something, right? Probably would have still missed the game. But it's easier to be honest up front than miss out on the game and then have to go back and say you're sorry and maybe miss out on more, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, that's really good, Allie. Coach, thank you for joining us, and Allie's obviously a great choice here. She plays ball.
She does.
She's one of
She's
your
a good
star
player.
players, right?
She's a good player.
Yeah, awesome. And I understand.
Better person.
Yeah, well, I can see that. You can see that all over. That's really
Thank
good.
you.
Great choice. I want to feed off those last couple of questions there that we had with the schools. What do you see us doing? And there at Morton, modeling and teaching young people this trait of honesty.
Allie touched on it a little bit. You know, the relationship piece and the bonding piece, and that starts with trust, and that to me starts with honesty. So having those tough conversations with students, sometimes it might not be what they want to hear, but it's what they need to hear. And that starts with relationships. And I tell my players and students all the time, trust is the easiest thing to lose and the hardest thing to gain back. So honesty is so important in building those relationships and continuing those relationships.
Yeah, you guys have probably seen this before, but we talk about how it takes months or years to build a structure. But you can put the dynamite in the right place, and in a few seconds it can be completely destroyed. Or you can put a person on a chair and go, now help pick the person up off the floor, and it's difficult, but you can do it. But you can pull the person off the chair very easily. and bring them down. It's kind of what you're referring to right there, and the idea of trust and honesty in relationship. Take that a little further. I like that.
Honesty, is the basis.
Yeah.
And then with that comes trust, and then with that comes relationships. And with students today, that relationship piece is so important in educating them, building relationships with them outside of four walls.
Yes.
So through that, even teachers are opening up a little bit and show them that we're human. We make mistakes too as adults. We are not perfect.
Honesty.
Yeah. That transparency piece that students really want to see. And once they see that, I think they open up and let their guard down a little bit, and then they're able to be honest with you, which goes back to the relationship piece.
Yeah, that's a great point, because as I'm sitting here hearing both of you talk, something that's coming to my mind is this: we're talking about relationships and being honest with others. I want to ask you first, Coach, and then see what you have to say about it, Allie. It really starts with us, doesn't it?
It does.
Being honest with, loving and respecting ourselves, who we are, so that we can then invest in the relationship. How does honesty affect that with ourselves?
For me personally, it took me a while, years.
Yes.
Well into college, maybe even after college, before I was honest with myself. And as teachers and through the education, they teach you to self-reflect. And as a coach, I think that helps bring out a lot of honesty. Allie can attend to this or attest to this, that I would say I was not a very good coach today. And when the girls hear that, they appreciate that and they feed off that. So we would sit down and have conversations. What do I need to do better? Here's what I think you girls need to do better, but what coach do I need to do better?
Yeah.
Now I already know in my mind what I think I need to do better, but hearing it from them also. So even being able to, going back to the pride piece, swallow your pride, open yourself up, and be honest that you need to change a little bit and do better.
That's very good, Coach. That's excellent. It's right where my mind was going on all this. You nailed it. I remember I've said this several times on this show, that I remember one of the things that my kids said to me was, Dad, one of the greatest things that you were able to show us was that when you made a mistake, you would willingly come to us and say, I'm sorry, which is what you said. It was tough. I'm not telling you it was easy, but I learned early on through my own playing and coaching and teaching and those things, that if you weren't honest with yourself and you weren't willing to let others see that, the good and the bad, that you were going to have a difficult time getting through to them. And you want to do that with your own children, but if you do it there, then you begin to do it with teams and students and things like that. Allie, what would you say to that about being honest with yourself?
Being honest with yourself, it builds character as well, big character, and it tells people you're not scared to show yourself or anything.
Yes.
And I think it just helps.
Wow, that is really good. I got an illustration that fits that perfectly. When I used to coach, I would tell young people, are you right hand or left hand? You know where I'm going with this. If you played and coached, and they go, well, I'm right, either one, I'd say, well, show me what you can do with the other hand. And then I would tell them, I get to see it. Here's the thing though, you have 3 chances to know that you can improve on that. The first one is when you know it yourself. You look in the mirror and say, I'm weak with my weak hand. Second time is when the coach or someone shares with you need to work on it. Third time is in front of all the fans. Your choice. But it builds character if you will see that yourself, be honest with yourself, and go work on it. The coach can encourage you in that and do those things, but you have to be willing to accept it and go do it. So closing comments, Coach, on honesty.
On honesty, I would say, at Morton, I really respect Principal Runyon and the job she does and how she models the open door policy. She allows community to come in, staff to come in, students to come in. And again, it goes back to that transparency piece. So to see her model that, that honesty and having tough conversations with staff that need to be had sometimes, doing the right thing isn't always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I feed off her.
That's wonderful.
Her character.
Great to have good servant leaders, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And you got one here, right?
Yes, sir.
Listen, I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to be with us. I know you got to get to practice, and you may be going to, I understand, Henry Clay's practice, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, good job.
Thank
you guys for being with us. Super job.
Thank you.
Yeah. And more about honesty in our media review segment coming right up.